Okay, welcome everyone to a continuation in this special series. Baruch Hashem, Rav Shlomo, and the wonderful Kehila of Shirat David. We have the opportunity to continue weiter what we already started with from the beginning of the Shulchan Aruch. I always like to go back to foundations, and there's no better place to begin than right at the beginning of the new year of Tafshin Pei Hey, Tafshin Pei Vav, with Emunah and Chizuk from the Shulchan Aruch, Halacha, Halicha, giving us guidance how to go through the world. We already started with the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, a little bit of Shulchan Aruch itself we mentioned, and we're also learning with the weiter with Likutei Halachos from Rabbeinu Nachman's Talmud, Chusar Leinu Rabbi Nosson. And Rabbi Nosson is going to be taking us on a journey. It's going to help us with the main kneged we try to bring out, and this is with the eights from the Rav here, that we should come out with some change. So we focused in on relationship flow. That's a podcast I have. It's about impacting our relationship in a positive way. Relationship with Hashem, of course, which is very much one with the beginning of the Shulchan Aruch, and our relationship with our spouse, with our soulmate, with the souls in our home, with the souls in our community, to get strengthened of this metzias that we have the merit to, as we mentioned last time, we have a moshul, a nimshul, we have a family, which is a nimshul of the relationship we have with Hashem. To get deeper into this concept and to be able to get eitzes from the Tzaddikim, especially in a zman like Elul, where we need all the help we can get to do tshuva properly, in a positive way, tshuva b'ahava, b'simcha, that can impact our relationships in a way that we feel is growing and fulfilled. So here we are. It begins the Shulchan Aruch. That's the beginning of the Shulchan Aruch. That's how we started this whole learning. Hashem wants us to Misgaber like a lion. So we all know the famous Rosh Tevis. Aryeh is Rosh Tevis. Elul, Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Hoshana Rabbah. So the concept of the lion is something that it's also Osius Yira, is to give us the koach to Misgaber. This whole week's part, all the droshes we were just learning just now on this week's parsha, all the Sifrei Kodesh is all going on this Nekudah of being Misgaber on the Yetzer Hara. Olavecha. By being Misgaber on the Yetzer Hara, we bring out the Nitzosos, we bring out our Tachlis, our Tafkid. So straight from the word go, right at the beginning of the day, at the beginning of the morning, there's an inyan of a Mochames HaYetzer, to Misgaber in the morning. And the Lashon of Ma'oreh Shacha, we're going to see that's going to be a big nekudah that Likutei Halachos brings out, that we're awakening the shacha. There's a certain koyach of zama l'kai ba'odi, which we mentioned last time, of nekudas tovus, that gives us ability to strengthen our neshama, our soul, and awaken from our slumber enough in a spiritual sense that we misgaber on the not good through the little bit of good that we're able to tune into straight away from the beginning of the day. And that will give us that, as the Lashon here, that you find in yourself a little bit, that little bit of good will give you the koach to feel that Hashem will wake you up. An important Lashon you're going to see in the Likutei Halachos as it goes weiter, Yisamcheni, that Hashem is supporting us in this. We should get encouragement. We should get chizuk, that Hashem is supporting us in this process of waking up. We're not alone. So we mentioned this last time, we're not alone. So how does this connect in already? We already mentioned the last two parts, two sessions about relationship. There's two big eitzes that come out straight away from the Shulchan Aruch. We're going to get to explain it more in Likutei Halachos, but here from the Shulchan Aruch straight, the Pasha is that we have to say Moda Ani to Hashem. One of the first things we do, even with Tumas Yadayim, even in a state of crustiness, like we're not in the most awake state, we're in a shtickle katness. And in that state, we say, Moda'ani lefanecha. And we mentioned that not only should we thank Hashem for returning our soul and believing in us, but we mentioned that we should, as an eitzah from my Rebbe, we should thank Hashem for giving us a soulmate. That's already the first relationship eitzah we got. The first thought is crucial. The Reishis Chachma, the Machshava, the first Reishis Machshava, the first thought that a Jew should have in the morning is with Hodah and gratitude, an attitude of gratitude. And with that, we have the ability to thank Hashem for the soulmate as well, that's hopefully, if we're married, is lying next to us or will be lying next to us if we're not yet married, that opportunity to thank Hashem for this gift of Eza kneged. And that's something we should tune ourselves in. My Rebbe taught me this, in already like midway in my marriage, like after being married, say 10 years, and it changed my marriage from till now. 23 years now, so Baruch Hashem. So the idea that we can come to a better level of marriage just from the beginning of how we start the day is a tremendous yesod for everyone, especially with this man that we're in. And that was the first relationship point we brought out in the first session. The second relationship point, I want to chazer because it's important. Second one is what we're learning here, this idea of nekuda tova. We're tuning into the good part of ourselves, and that gives us ability, the good part of our soulmate, of our children, to tune in more into the soul level, more into the fact that they are filled with nekudas tovas. That will give us a tremendous chizuk in our relationship, that we're constantly focusing in on the good part of our family, of our wife, of our children, of our community. That will give a strengthening in the good in our relationship. So we have to, but first things first, we have to learn how to do that ourselves, for ourselves. So those were the 2 points we mentioned in the first 2 sessions. We're going to go into a little bit of a drasha right now, based on the beginning of the Shulchan Aruch, and now Rabbi Nachman takes it further. And this is, I heard from Rav Shlomo Katz. I like to bring in Tzaddikim when we're learning together. So Rav Shlomo Katz brought tremendous chiddush that I never heard from anyone. I haven't heard from anyone since. And I don't know if it's his own chiddush. I don't remember exactly because he said it at Shalas Sudas, Parshas B'Shalach, many years ago. I did share it once on the Erev Shabbos here and explained it more deeply over an hour. But we're going to just touch on it. The fact that the Shulchan Aruch begins with Misgaber ka'ari, that we have to Misgaber like ka'ari. Who is the one saying this statement? It's the Beit Yosef. It's very important to look at who we're hearing from when we're learning Torah. Who is the one who brings the Shita? Who's the Rav that bringing the Shita? To Misgaber ka'ari. It's the Beit Yosef. So Rav Shlomo Katz, if anyone knows him, Beit Yosef Lahava. If you know who Rav Shlomo, that was his Yisod of Shalas Sudas drosha was all about the Beit Yosef Lahava, the Yosef of Tzaddick, the awe of the Tzaddick. So beginning the Shulchan Aruch already with a mekashi yourself at that moment straight away with his kashrus to the Tzaddick. Is Gaber Ka'ari. Who's going to give you the koach to Misgaber like a lion? By joining yourself with the avodah of a Tzaddick who's able to mo'over the shacha, to awaken out all the nekudas tovas and bring out from the shacha the awe, to bring out the nekudas tovas. And that's why who's the tzaddik that we're learning with right now is Rabbi Nachman and Rabbi Nosson. We go straight to the tzaddikim to get a shaykhus and an eitzah how to do this avodah. And this is a whole big sefer, and it begins the beginning of the parish of Shulchan Aruch on how to misgaber on the Yetzirah, how to misgaber on this sheina, how to misgaber on the shlifkai, how to mishafech ourselves to a state of avodah, in a state of sheina, how to transform ourselves. We need to miskasher ourselves to a tzaddik. That's the beginning of the Shulchan Aruch, and that's the Beit Yosef Lahava. The dafka, it's the avodah of the tzaddik that begins the Shulchan Aruch, that we have to join ourselves with that. Now, not all of us are on that madrega. It's a level to have his kashrus to a tzaddik. It's a level to be a tzaddik. So, Baruch Hashem, we've learned other svarim. We know that most of us, halavai, should be beinani. Halavai, we should, we can't live in dimyonis. We have to be real with where we're holding. So, not everyone is on the level just to fight the Yetzirah straight away from the beginning you wake up. So, Baruch Hashem, comes the Hagar, and Hagar we know is the Rama, and he said, Shvisi Hashem negdi tamid, zeh kal godel b'Torah. And that's the beginning of the Orach Chaim, the way of life, the Shulchan Aruch. Comes the Rama and teaches us, Shvisi Hashem negdi tamid. And we already mentioned that that's already a pasuk from Tikkun Klali, which we have here, in Ishmas, Meir Shimon ben Gavriel, my son's good friend. So we have already the pasuk of Shvisi Hashem negdi tamid, which we talked about the last two sessions, having Hashem in front of us constantly, the way the Shulchan Aruch explains it, we mentioned already. So now we're going to explain why is it the Rama that brings this pasuk, and how does that help us in contrast to the Eitzah from Yizgaber Ka'ari. Shvisi Hashem negdi tamid is the Shem Havaya is Rachamei. The Shem Havaya is Kula Rachamei. The Rama is kneged. So we had Beit Yosef. Now we have the Tzaddick Moshe Isserles, and that's why I mentioned Parshas B'Shalach, because who were the ones who took us out of Mitzrayim? Who were the ones who took us out of this state of katnus, of this state of restraints? Who was the person? It was Moshe Rabbeinu, but what was it with? With the Atzmas Yosef. So we have to begin the Shulchan Aruch. We have to begin the awakening of Am Yisrael from these two lights. the light of Yosef Tzaddick, and the Beit Yosef, who's telling us Misgaber, and the light of Moshe, which comes out through the neshama of Moshe Ishalis, the Rama, who's telling us to tune into the midas of Rachamim. Because we're not going to be able to, therefore, be Misgaber. We're not on that level to Misgaber on a Yitzhar. We need Rachmanas. Hashem, help me have the ability to see the good in me. Help me to wake up in the morning. Help me to do my tafkid. We need Rachmanas. It's a state of Rachmanas. And that state of Rachmanas that we wake up in, that goes together with the other eight of the Tzaddik, the Atzmos Yosef that Moshe brought with him. He brought with him the bones of Yosef, this bigger level of being Misgaber. But we're not all on that level, so we have, thank God, Hashem kneged, that Hashem is pouring upon us this Shefa of Mercy every day, giving us ability to wake up, whether we're able to Misgaber or not. And He's helping us get out of bed. He's helping us go out of our own Mitzrayim. Because remember, the Baal HaTanya talks about the whole avoda of the morning is a Yitzias Mitzrayim. That's one of the reasons we say it every day, because we're going out of our own personal Yitzias Mitzrayim every morning, and that's part of the avoda of davening, part of the avoda of learning, to Makabel the Torah, again, every day renewed, like Kabbalah Torah. So we're going through this experience of Moshe and the bones of Yosef taking us out of Mitzrayim to receive the Torah, and we have the beginning of the Shulchan Aruch is this tremendous revelation of these two lights of Yosef and Moshe, of the Tzaddik and the Rebbe, who's bringing Rachmanis on us. It's a very deep concept. I mean, this was a big, long Shalat Sudas, and we don't have time to continue with this because I want to get back into Likutei Halachos. But it's just good to know when you're learning Shulchan Aruch, you're attaching yourselves into something which is very, very deep, and it wasn't just a halacha how to do this or some interesting concept. It's actually foundational for a yid's awakening every morning. And how does this help to relationships? Because once you understand that you're not alone and you're joined up with Tzaddikim and you're part of this mission of Am Yisrael to go out of this cutness, out of this smallness, out of this state of Shena, and you have Hashem Himself supporting you in that process, so then you have much more Amunah B'tochen in yourself and in your ability to be able to succeed as a husband, as a father, it's not like, oh my gosh, what's ahead of me today? Like the famous way the non-Jew wakes up, the first thing he does is sweat, because it's like, oh no, another day, another onslaught of nisyonis. It's like waiting for him. He didn't do any tshuva the night before. He says he's got all the baggage from the day before, is carrying on the next day. We hopefully do part of the Hashkamas Boker is how you go to bed. So we have some sort of avoda before we go to bed, like we're doing now, learning between Mincha Marev and doing some sort of Achana for Marev with Torah Baruch Hashem. So then we go to bed in the right way. That's part of the Hashkamas begins now, not just in the morning. And it's important to know that. It's a big also eitzah that I heard from Rav Simai. The Hashkama always begins in the night before, how you prepare yourself to go to sleep. And when you're learning Rabbi Nachman and Rabbi Nosson, and you mentioned last time Rav Shlomo Katz, because I had the chus to be by him for many years, and the 5 years I was with him, one of the most powerful svarim that I learned by him was Or Chodesh. Last time he mentioned the Shalom Bayis Sefer, but this time I'm going to mention Or Chodesh. Or Chodesh, this new light that he brought in that Sefer, that is a powerful Sefer because it gives you a very deep understanding of Shena, of sleep, and the power of Rotzen to be able to process sleep in a ruchnius way, to not get caught up in the gashmias of the sleep. There is some sort of inner will that you have within you to waken up, as he says over here, to ma'ora the shacha, to wake up the darkness that you're facing in the morning with the Nekudas Tovas. He has a whole Torah here. He says, "Zeh bechinas oris hashena," says Rabbi Nosson. Kisha adam roeh sherachok ma'Hashem yisbarach. He recognizes that he's far from Hashem. Zeh bechinas shena she echa meshishim b'misa. We all know the famous chazal that it's 1/60th of death, sleep. When one seeks and searches and finds himself some remaining good point, he's able to revive himself and cheer himself up. That is a concept of waking yourself up from sleep through the Nekudas Tovas. That the sameach, the simcha, the energy. Like people want to do tshuva. We mentioned last time. If you want to do tshuva, if you want to daven, you have to have the koach for it. Yeah, it's not just we learn. This is where I want to connect to Rav Shlomo Shir, Erev Shabbos and today. that there has to be a frischkeit, there has to be an energy, a vitality in our Yiddishkeit. How are we going to get that vitality? It's going to come from the Likutei Halachos inside of ourselves, the emunah, as we were learning today, tuning into the emunah of ourselves. Hashem's giving us this gift to do His will in this world, right this moment now, to tune into that truth. That gives us koach in the neshama to be able to daven, to be able to learn, to be able to do tshuva. We have to be chochem in this inyan of learning how to fuel ourselves to be able to serve Hashem. Coming's El Tishrei, we don't just fall into it. We have to prepare ourselves that we're about to go into a time of a lot of tefillah, a lot of davening, a lot of slichus, a lot of avodas Hashem. So part of the right hashkafa would be based on the eitzos of tzaddikim, like we're seeing with even just waking up in the morning. There's actual a mindset and an approach and an eitzah, an advice that would give us ability to do it correctly with energy, with chiyas, with simcha. So we're fully present, so we're somewhat, or at least trying to be fully present. We're trying to experience it. And once again, it's so important. This is why we brought this deep explanation at the beginning of the Shulchan Aruch, is to realize we're not alone. We're with the Tzaddikim. The Tzaddikim are with us. The Tzaddick, Yosef, Moshe Rabbeinu, all the Tzaddikim of all the Doros are with our generation, helping us to wake up this generation to a more spiritual state. And that would be the siyum of this week's session. And I think if we get this right, please God, we'll have Shalom Bayis, because it would be on a whole nother level. Amen v'amen.